All right, in this video, I'm going to go over electron configuration and how you can create the electron configuration for an atom. Now, what's really cool about the electron configuration is it's kind of the address for the electrons. So with the electron configuration, you can tell how many electrons are in which energy level and which orbital and all sorts of information. So I'm going to teach you today a really easy trick on the periodic table to write those electron configurations. But the first thing that we need to talk about is we need to talk about our blocks. So you learned in the last video that this was the equivalent of the sunny room. Well, we call that the S block. And you learned that this one over here was the equivalent of the pink rooms, which we will call the P blocks. Now notice that there's one little S block hanging out over here. Okay, so that is part of the S block, so don't confuse it. And then you learned something about this area that we call this, it was the rooms that were down in the basement, we call them the D block. Now what you didn't learn, but you do need to know at least the location of them, is this one down here in purple, both of them. This is called the F block. S, P, D, F. Those are the 4 blocks that you need to know. And what those actually represent are the shapes. So we learned this year so far that in an atom, you have a nucleus where protons and neutrons are located. And then we have energy levels where we have the electrons. That first one can hold 2 electrons, the second one can hold 8, the third one can hold 18, but we only talk about the first 8. And you might be able to start seeing why with this. But we simplified this version of the atom because the atom doesn't actually look like this. It doesn't have these nice clear-cut orbitals like Earth rotates around the sun. It's not just this circle. What it actually looks like is this right here. So this is just taken from Wikipedia, but it has some good images. So notice that it says 1S and then it looks like a blue sphere. Well, that blue sphere is 3D, and that is what the first energy level actually looks like. So I just kind of want you to use your imagination, blow up a balloon, stick a bead in the middle of that balloon, and then shake it. And you can notice that the balloon or the bead can go anywhere in that balloon. It's not tied to just a circle. That is what these look like. So the 1S, this very top one that you see, that's a sphere, and the bead can be anywhere in there. The electron can be anywhere in here. And then you have these 2 P's on the next level and a ring-looking one. So the 3D shapes just change. And the cool thing about this is they all overlap each other as well, and it gets super complicated. So complicated that we don't even study this at this level, and you don't study it that much in college either. What you do study is just how to write the address. And that's what I'm going to show you on the periodic table because it's a really cool trick, and it's not too bad at all. Now, before we start that, what you do need to know is that these rows right here, whoops, it doesn't want to work for me. Right here, that's row 1. It means I have 1 energy level. Right here, it's row 2. I have 2 energy levels. Row 3, I have 3 energy levels, and so forth. So your rows actually mean your energy levels. And you'll remember that your groups, it's not switching, there we go. Your groups, 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, all the way down here represented your valence electrons, or the electrons in the outer energy level. That was just a review part. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to use this as a, trick to writing the electron configuration. So I'm going to show you that with, I'm just going to pick a random color and element, and let's talk about beryllium. If I want to write that, you read it like a book, left to right, top to bottom. Okay, so while the periodic table is a trick, you just got to use your basic reading skills. And this is your starting point right here. Well, I'm in row 1 right here, so I'm going to put 1. If I'm right here, I'm in the S block, so I'm going to put an S. Now, there's actually 2 of them in row 1 S block. I have hydrogen top left and helium in the top right, so that's 2 of them. So I'm going to put a little 2 right here. Now, I've done everything in that top row, so now I'm just going to go to the second row, read left to right. So here I have lithium, that's 2S. And then beryllium would be that second one. So lithium would be my 2S1, and then beryllium would be 2S2, so I put a little 2 right there. And you just wrote the electron configuration for beryllium. to break it down, these numbers right here are your energy level. And then the S's are the shape. And these numbers up here are your electrons. Now I'm going to show you that again with a different element. Let's actually go a little bit further. Let's go to silicone, Si. Okay, so we start back up here at hydrogen. In hydrogen, you're in row 1. It is the S block, so I'm going to put an S. And there are 2 of them. I like to cross them off as I go, but you don't have to. Then I'm done with row 1, so I'm going to go to row 2. So I'm going to put a big 2. Now, I'm still in the S block, and there's 2 of them, so I'm going to cross those off as well. And then I'm not done with row 2. There might be a big gap here, but I'm not done with it. I have to go over here. Now, the tricky part is anytime you enter a new block, you have to re-put your row number. So we're still in row 2, but now we're in the P block. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, so I'm going to put a 6. I'm done with row 2, so I'm going to go to row 3. 3, I'm in the S block. I'm going to put an S, and there's 2 of them. And then I go all the way across over here. I'm in row 3 still, but now I'm in the P block, and there's 1, 2. So I'm going to put a 2. So your electron configuration is 1s2, 2s, oops. Shame on me. Should be a little 2 up there. And then a 2p6, 3s2, 3p2. So you just kind of walk through those. I'm going to show you one more down here, and we're going to do Ti. And you'll notice as you do this, you kind of just build and build upon them. So we have to start back at hydrogen. Pick a different color. Let's go with blue this time. We're going to start here with hydrogen. That's row 1, S block, and there's 2 of them. Row 2, S block, there's 2 of them. I'm not done, so I'm going to hop over here. Still row 2, but because I'm going to a different letter, I have to write that 2 again. P, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to put a little 6. Now I'm finished with row 2. I'm going to go to row 3, 3, S2. Slide over here, 3, P. And again, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. And then I'm going to go here for K, and it is 4s2. But here's the tricky part. As soon as you get right here, as soon as you enter that D block, it's like going down to the basement, so it's 1 floor behind. So instead of writing 4D, I write 3D, 1, 2. And there's my electron configuration. So this tells you how many energy levels you have. You have an energy level 1 and 2 energy level 2s, right? They're just 2 shapes on the same energy level. You have energy level 3, you have energy level 4, and oh look, you have another energy level 3. Those are all just the different shapes. So the highest energy level on this one was 2. And for this one as well, you'll notice that you have 2, 4, plus 6, 10, plus 2, 12, plus 6 more, 8, 9, 10, or 8, 20, 22 electrons total. So those are just some things that you can kind of decipher from your electron configuration. All right, now it's your turn to try. I know that this can seem confusing, so ask me for help.